الآن يمكنكم المشاركة في مبادرة الأيام الرقمية تحت شعار انطلق بقوة مع جوجل، والتي يتناول فيها خبراء جوجل عناوين جديدة أسبوعيا مثل السحابيات، مهارات من جوجل، أندرويد، فلتر، ذكاء الآلة، فايربيس، ديزاين ثينكينج، مقسمة إلى دورات وورشات عمل يومية بالإضافة إلى مسابقات أسبوعية. شاهد الأيام الرقمية مباشرة على اليوتيوب وشارك رأيك وأسئلتك مع خبراء جوجل، واحصل على شهادة حضور في كل محاضرة تشترك فيها. هذا وأكثر من الأحد إلى الخميس ابتداء من الساعة 9 بتوقيت دبي عبر الرابط المبين youtube.com/gdgmina.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Google for MENA Digital Days. My name is Sachin, a Google developer expert, and in today's episode, we will learn how to build complex virtual agents using Dialogflow CX. So if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so that you can be notified for all the wonderful videos that you have on this channel. So without further ado, let's get started. So a quick intro about myself. I've been on this channel multiple times. So I'm a Google developer expert. I'm a Google for Startup Accelerator mentor. I head the Google developer groups in Doha. I'm chief technology officer of a company called Tuplo Life, which is a connected healthcare company based out of Dallas, Texas. I'm an active mentor, writer, blogger, and YouTuber. And speaking of YouTube, I do have my own channel, which is called Tech with Such. So if you go to youtube.com/tech with such, you have all the tutorials, step-by-step tutorials for you to get started on chatbots, voice bots, be it augmented reality, virtual reality, machine learning. So you have all of those tutorials available for you. I'm looking forward to see all of you in my channel as well. So moving forward, all the links to this specific session as well as to the YouTube channel will be shared in the live chat. So speaking of live chat, I'm also looking at the comment section. So feel free to keep this session as interactive as possible. I would love to interact with you all. Leave in your questions, queries, and we can have as much as possible. We'll try to keep it as interactive as possible. So today's session is about Dialogflow CX. So in the past, you have seen that we covered a lot of tutorials on Dialogflow and how to build on chatbots. If you have not done that, no problem. If you're new to this topic, completely new, no problem. Even if you're a beginner or if you already know Dialogflow, great. We'll cover all of that on a high level today. And along with that, we also will have a live demo on what we can build using Dialogflow CX and why this is a very powerful tool for you all to use. So just let me know in the comment section how many of you are aware of chatbots, virtual agents, or are actually using that. I would love to know that. But on a high level, the aim for today is to learn how we can build complex virtual agents. So the reason why I say complex virtual agents is there's a bit of segregation and separation on what you call as a simple chatbot, a virtual agent, and a complex virtual agent. And you'll get all of this, you'll get to understand all of this very soon. It's just that with Dialogflow CX, the way how you build conversational applications or um, uh, conversational designed applications to a whole new level. And we'll talk about that. So in order for us to actually build a conversational agent, we need to have a platform to build it. And luckily, we have Dialogflow, which is a platform that makes it incredibly straightforward for you to build conversational experiences. So you might be wondering, or you might be asking, Sachin, why Dialogflow? Why should I go ahead with using a framework like Dialogflow? The simple answer is this. One, it is a very powerful tool for you to actually build conversational experiences. Two, you have to build once. And then with Dialogflow's integration capabilities, you can kind of go ahead and then integrate whatever you've built, your conversational app or your conversational experiences can be integrated with all the other existing platforms. You're talking about, let's say, WhatsApp, your Facebook Messenger, and so on, right? Slack, Twilio, and so on. I can see some comments saying that I'm new to Dialogflow. Perfect. I will give you a flavor of uh, Dialogflow as such. And we'll also look at the difference between the two offerings that Google provides. One is Dialogflow Essentials, and the other one is Dialogflow CX, which is for customer experience. So if you look at it from what you're seeing right now on the screen, so this is basically Dialogflow Essentials. So a simple platform that anyone can get started with. I mean, literally anyone. So you don't need to have prior coding experience to actually get started building chatbots on Dialogflow. This is very easy for you to actually get started with. And we'll see that. So I just want us to actually reflect on this specific statement. So let's say that you built a chatbot or you have a chatbot, and then the chatbot is all about giving you recipes. Now, imagine if you're a developer, you're building this from scratch, you're writing some logic for you to basically understand the user, right? And the user says something like this: well, it's kind of cold outside, so I'd like something hot to warm me up, like a hot soup, and I want it fast. So, just with this one sentence or one statement, imagine how much um of code that you'll have to write to basically extract this information from this sentence, or to even understand what this means, right? So if you're good at regular expressions, great. But imagine writing a regular expression for this to extract the information or make sense of it. Why? Because let's look at this. So the person says it's kind of cold outside. So he's not talking about the food, nothing to do with the food. He's just generally talking about the weather. And he says, so I'd like something to warm me up. Again, warm me up is again nothing to do with the actual food as such. He's saying, he's giving the context on why he needs something hot. So he says, a hot soup, and I want it fast. So these are the key informations that you want to extract from the user to identify what you need to do. So a specific action needs to take place once this is done. So for that, what we'll do is we'll have a tool called Dialogflow, as I mentioned, which is which makes it incredibly straightforward and easy for us to build and understand these kind of conversations. And that's possible mainly because of two things. One is intent matching, and the other one is entity extraction. So you must be wondering, what is this intent matching and what is this entity extraction? Very simple. Think about intent matching as a way, whatever the conversation that your user is having with your chatbot, you need to understand the intent of the user. What does the user want to do? And what specific action needs to be taken? So that is actually possible through intent matching. So intent matching is nothing but trying to match and categorize or recognize what the user is saying, or in this case, user's utterance to an intent. Now, the second part is entity extractions. You remember, like this specific statement that we uh, talked about. So, here it's important for us to actually say, okay, hot soup, and I want it fast. So, imagine this is a delivery application, food delivery application, and you're basically chatting with the bot. I say, I need a pizza or I need a hot soup and I want it fast. So you get these key informations. Okay, this person needs soup and hot soup and needs fast. So these are key critical information that you're extracting out from the conversation. And that is possible using entity extractions. So, what is entity extractions? It basically is identifying key words or key information or phrases spoken by the user. So, I hope by now you have a clear idea about what is intents and what is entities. So, I'll repeat again. Intents is a way for you to recognize or categorize or understand the intent of the user. And entity is basically based on that conversation. You might want to extract key information from within the sentence so that you can send it to your backend and process the business logic and send back a response to the user. So that is basically entity extraction. So you'd be wondering, great. Now, how does this Dialogflow platform look like? Whatever we just said right now with that simple example is can be done just by adding some training phrases. So if you look at the screen on the left, you have something called as intent, right? So you have intents over here. So right now we are looking at the intent that we created. It says like recipe recommendation. Now within this recipe recommendation, you have as a conversational design expert. So let's say that you are an expert, you start building conversational applications or actions. Here, the way how you do it is not specifically by coding, but by actually training the AI or machine learning to understand what the user would typically say. So, what that means is all you have to do is create an intent, and after creating the intent, you typically say what the user might say. So, chicken sounds good to me. I like a cold dessert and I want it right now. Do you know a recipe for a quick meal? All of this is possible because while training and giving some examples of what the user might ask, Dialogflow will automatically understands using its natural language understanding and machine learning. It will understand that okay, all of these training phases is what I'm going to train on, and when a new user or any user says something similar to this sentence, it is smart enough to identify and understand that, okay, so I just received a conversation from the user, and that conversation basically matches with the intent recipe recommendation, right? So, just like that, Dialogflow will pass that conversation to this specific intent, and within this intent, you can extract key information like here in this case, the highlighted ones are the key information or entities that you're extracting. Okay. And you can define different types of entities and you can build all of that. So that was basically the main Dialogflow essentials. So if you want to get started building chatbots, I would highly recommend that you start with Dialogflow essentials. And once you get the hang of Dialogflow essentials, you can then come to Dialogflow CX. So Dialogflow CX or Dialogflow customer experience is a whole new different level of building chatbots, and you'll get to know why. So before we actually get deeper into why we need to use Dialogflow CX, let's do one thing. Since some of you just mentioned that you're new to Dialogflow, let me just give you a high level overview of Dialogflow ES or essentials. Okay. So the way how you do that is go to dialogflow.com. So this is the simplest way for you to actually go through the two different offerings that Google provides, right? So if I can zoom in, so you have Dialogflow CX. So this is what we're going to learn today. And you have Dialogflow ES or essentials. Okay. So if you click on Dialogflow ES, and you can just directly click on go to Dialogflow ES console. So as I said, this platform is very simple, very easy to get started with. So you remember all of those intents and entities that we talked about, all of that is over here. Here, I've already created an agent, so that's why you see some intents already created. But by default, you will only see when you create a new intent, you will see two intents created by default by Dialogflow, which is the default welcome intent and the default fallback intent. So, what is the default welcome intent and the fallback intent? Let me zoom in for. Okay. So, the default welcome intent is basically how you greet your customer or your user. So, let's say you have a chatbot that you have integrated onto your website. So, what you need to do is the moment the user lands on the website, you have a pop-up that says, okay, hi, I can, I'm so and so chatbot, I can do XYZ things. How can I help you? And that is possible using the welcome intent. So if I go and click on the default welcome intent, you will see that if you come down, you will see this one. Hi, I'm an agent designed to demonstrate operator requests. You can ask me about my purpose or ask to speak with the person. If I fail to understand your statement twice in a row, I'll connect you with the person automatically. How can I help you? So anything to do with the greetings can all go over here. So by doing this, automatically your chatbot will understand that, okay, this is the first welcome intent that should be triggered, and this is the first thing that I need to send as a response to the user. So the user will see the statement and then start working on based on that. On the right side, you do also have, uh, you see over here on the right side, you also have a simulator. Okay. Now, along with this, so if you go back to the fallback intent is if it doesn't understand anything, it will just come here. And for this specific agent, the way how we designed it is we removed all of that. Uh, let's say typically when you create a Dialogflow agent, the welcome intent will have the greetings like training phrases like hi, hello, and so on. So in this case, we've wantedly removed it from the welcome intent. The reason why is this agent is supposed to demonstrate how you can actually switch from a chatbot to a human operator and when to switch based on sentiment analysis and a lot of other things. So all of these tutorials are available on the Tech with Such YouTube channel. The link is again, once again, it's there in the comment section. So you can have a look at it. Okay, so intents are basically that. So let's see another intent. So this will help you out. So you say, what's my purpose? And when you create an intent called what's my purpose, all you need to do is under training phrases, come here and basically add all the information that you have. So in this case, I'm going to say, the user might say, purpose, explain your purpose. I want to know what you do. What are you? If the user says anything similar to this, it is this intent or this agent is already trained with this intent. So based on these training phrases, what should be the response? It will basically give these three responses. So you can add any kind, any type, any amount of text responses over here. You also have the option to do custom payload to have additional rich responses. So there's a lot that we can do with Dialogflow. So keep note of that. But over here, my aim is for you to just have a glimpse of what the typical Dialogflow essentials provides. And why this is important is when you move from here to Dialogflow CX, it's a completely different way of building things. You, in fact, you do have certain components of Dialogflow Essentials like intents and entities, but you'll also have more features available in Dialogflow CX. So let's just actually test this out. So we have an intent called what's my purpose, and we have all of these statements, and you can also see there's some text responses. So on the right side on the simulator, you can actually say, what is your purpose? So immediately you got a response. So you can see over here, I'm a very simple agent designed to help developers learn how to escalate conversations from an agent to a real human operator. What else can I help you with? And where is this coming from? This is coming from the responses, right? The same thing if I say, what are you? You get a different response that's somewhere over here. So you see here, I'm a very simple agent designed to help developers escalate. Um, so you have different conversations that it will automatically randomly pick from these text responses. And the important thing to note over here is Dialogflow is also showing you which intent did this conversation match to. So the user had a conversation with your bot. Dialogflow understood that based on this sentence or conversation, I'm matching it against what's my purpose intent. And based on what's my purpose intent, I'm also going to that intent, and I will see is what should I do next. So there's a text response. Okay, I'm going to display that text response back to the user. So that's on a very high level what you can what intents and entities are. Entities, as I said, if you want to extract key information, you can use entities from that. So in this case, for this specific agent, I have not created any entities for obvious reasons. And apart from that, you also have the abilities like knowledge base in Dialogflow Essentials, which is again a beautiful tool. Why? Because let's say that you want to create like a chatbot, and you don't know like where to get started. One of the easiest things that I would say is if you have an uh, FAQ section in your website. So let's say you have a website, your own company, and you have the frequently asked questions. The best thing that you can do is make sure that that specific web page follows the FAQ schema markup. And all you have to do is point that URL and create a knowledge base over here. With just 3-4 clicks, you can literally have the entire chatbot built just based on your existing website and existing information. Okay. So again, we're not going to go deep into this, but all this information is definitely available in the entire course or the tutorial series that's already created. Now, with integrations, and you remember I was saying, if you ask me, Sachin, why Dialogflow? Why we have to use Dialogflow? One of the main reasons is this. So if you look at most of the uh, conversational or chatbots tools that you have out there, even companies that provide additional services, they have Dialogflow integrations. And the main reason is it's you basically build it and you can basically deploy it across multiple platforms. So a simple example for that is, let's say we basically built this agent. We saw what it looks like on the simulator, but you can also see how it will look like on a website. So all you have to do is click here, copy this iframe, paste it on your website, and it's going to look something similar to this, right? And I can ask the same thing, what is your purpose, right? and you can see immediately you get the response back. Now, this is one way of doing it. Now, you might say, okay, I don't want this to be integrated onto my web page. I want it like how, you have messengers on the bottom of the screen. So Dialogflow also has something like that. So that's called Dialogflow Messenger. So you click on that, you can copy this code, paste it onto your web page. Done, finish. So how it would look like? It will look exactly like here. You see here? So you have a pop-up chat and it's immediately introducing itself. Where is this information coming from? This is coming from the welcome intent, right? So I can say, click on this and say, what what's your purpose? Okay. So great. So you just have all of this information available to you in a quick and easy manner, right? Then you have a lot more other things that you can do with Dialogflow Essentials. So you see this. This is the Dialogflow Essentials offering. So we call it Dialogflow ES or Essentials. Now, if you're looking to build chatbots quickly, I would say have a look at pre-built agents. In fact, next week I'm doing a tutorial on that, so stay tuned for that. But apart from that, the main reason with the integrations is, let's say you want to build with have a messenger in your thing in your website, or if you want to build it with Facebook, you want to integrate with Facebook Messenger, you can do that. Slack, Telegram, and you do also have open source tools like Twilio, Twitter, Viber, Skype, and so on. So you can see the amount of options that you have for integrating it with other platforms. So basically, what that means is you build once, and then your bot or your agent can be deployed across multiple platforms. Okay. So I hope by now you have an understanding of what Dialogflow Essentials does. Now let's switch back and talk about Dialogflow CX. Okay. So with Dialogflow CX or customer experience, Google has taken this whole thing to a completely different level. Why? Because it actually solves multiple things, and we'll get to see what. First one is with Dialogflow CX. These are all the different offerings that Google provides. So if you look at it, multilingual support, you can engage with your global user customer base. So your chatbot can just not be in one language, it could be in multiple languages. Now you also have a visual flow builder. So in the Dialogflow Essentials, we are building chatbots mainly using intents and entities, right? It is a great tool. Trust me, it is a great tool for you to get started with building chatbots. Even complex chatbots can be built with Dialogflow Essentials. But for you to have that level of uh, an advanced chatbot, there is a lot of code that you might have to handle behind the scenes. Okay. Now, for a person like that, Dialogflow Essentials is okay. But for any kind of complex agents that does a lot of things and you need to have a comprehensive uh, virtual agent, I would say go with Dialogflow CX. Why? Because one, it has a visual flow builder, so you can quickly see, understand, edit, and share your interactive flow visualizations. And the best part about this is, as more and more companies are working on conversational agents, we have come to a realization that people are not building these chatbots alone, right? You have a team of people who are working with different departments, different sections coming together and building the bot. So, in that case, it is important to understand that whatever the tool that you're building can uh, can adjust or can be feasible enough to have multiple teams or multiple people working on the same agent. So with Dialogflow CX, that is possible. So it supports up to 10 sub agents with as many as 20,000 intents, cutting edge speech recognition and speech synthesis models. So some of the things that you have that you're talking about over here, I showed you some examples. The same thing can be done with the telephony gateway, right? So you build that agent. If I do an integration with the telephony agent, I can call that number, and instead of actually typing in, I can just have a conversation with the agent over the phone, and the chatbot will respond. In that case, it becomes a voice bot. The voice bot can then respond back with that specific response, right? So you also have pre-built agents. So as I said, pre-built agents is an excellent tool for you to actually get started quickly, because you have an understanding of, okay, I can, this is my business and I have a pre-built agent template. I can click on that and have a specific flow already built for me, so I don't have to build that from scratch. Versions and environment support, a very important thing, because once you start building these chatbots, pretty soon you need to have like different versions, different environments. Let's say one for production, one for testing environment. So you want to kind of have that level of testing and environment. In case of like production, you'll have a different version, and then you're releasing a new version, you want to put that in the front. So all of that can be possible with the versioning system. The main thing is, I talked about integrations, which is the omni-channel integration. So build once, deploy across your entire contact center and digital channels. So one of the things that you would probably hear right now is the contact center. And the reason why it comes is, we talked about Dialogflow CX is nothing but a customer experience. So typically, all of this caters to like a contact center or building complex virtual agents, even existing contact center flows that you have within your company. You might actually be able to fast track a lot of those things by integrating Dialogflow into that existing workflow. Okay, and then you have a simulator to actually understand uh, without directly pushing it to the environment. You can use the simulator to see how well the agent is responding to certain conversational queries. So with that, you'll be asking, this guy is actually talking about agents. What is a Dialogflow CX agent? So deep down, a CX agent is a virtual agent that handles concurrent conversations with your end user. So that's basically what an agent is. A Dialogflow agent is basically a virtual agent that basically takes care of all the conversations between the user and the agent. And it does this in a very natural language way, right? And how that is possible? It's possible using the Google's natural language understanding or Dialogflow's natural language understanding and machine learning. Okay, so we said that uh, we have a visual flow builder. You'll get to see how that is done. I'll show you a demo of that. In that case, you'll get to see how Dialogflow CX is different from Dialogflow ES. And a Dialogflow agent is similar to a human call center agent. So we talked about this. It is almost similar to how you actually have a physical agent or an actual live agent. The both of them need to be trained, right? So let's say you have a call center, you have an agent over there who's just joined, and what would be the process be? So you'll have to train the person, saying that, okay, this is the manual, or this is going to be your training procedure. These are the things that you need to say when you're asked so and so questions. So similarly, with Dialogflow CX or Dialogflow agents, you have to train the agent to understand what the user is saying. So you remember, like we had training phrases. That's exactly what this means. So you train both of them to handle expected conversation scenarios, and your training does not need to be overly explicit. So with Dialogflow CX, we have some new concepts. And once you understand these concepts, we have once you understand these concepts, it will be very, very easy for you to actually go ahead and build and work on Dialogflow CX. So you know intents, you know entities, right? So one of the new concepts that Dialogflow CX brings to the table is flows. So what are flows? So think about this. Complex dialogues often involve multiple conversation topics, right? So it is not, think about it like if it is just a simple chatbot and it does only one thing, it's easier to design. But when you're having a complex conversation, it often involves multiple conversation topics, right? And each topic requires multiple conversation turns for an agent to acquire the relevant information from the end user. A simple example is the food order scenario, right? So within the food order scenario, one, your chatbot could handle the way how to order the food. There could be a separate flow where it's all about asking about payments or about the confirmation or the status of the order. There could be a separate flow only involving about frequently asked questions, or it could only involve about your account information and so on. So if you look at it, each conversation or topic is it will have its own separate flow, right? Now what I mean by that is the reason why I'm using the term flow is each flow will have its own set of things that it needs to do. So when you're having these conversations, it will have a separate flow for each of these. And that's how Dialogflow CX does it. So if you look at this uh, diagram, you have the default start flow, you have customer information, you have food order, and then you'll have a confirmation, and then you can end the session. So each of this is its own separate flow. Now, we talked about flows. I hope you guys understood what flows are. Okay. And then you're talking about pages. So, flows, then we come to pages. Pages is very simple. Think about flows as the high level topic that you are talking about. And within that specific topic, let's say we talked about food order, right? So, within that food order topic of flow, you will have to do a set of actions, right? So what those set of actions is possible through pages. So in Dialogflow CX, each session can be described and visualized as a state machine. And this is another main difference between how you build in Dialogflow ES or Essentials versus Dialogflow CX. This Dialogflow CX is based on a state machine model. The states of the CX sessions are represented by pages. So you have a start page. Within the page, you have like edit order, add pizza, different options, add drinks, remove items, and then confirmation. So once you understand the core principles behind what is a flow, what are pages, and once you understand this, building on Dialogflow CX is a breeze. So let me kind of summarize on a quick high level what would be all the differences between Dialogflow Essentials and CX. There's a lot. I'm just going to pick some of the core important features and differences. With Dialogflow Essentials, it's easier to build simple chatbots. If you're getting started with chatbots development, you can start with Dialogflow ES. With Dialogflow CX is mainly meant for uh, companies, or even for you, anyone who's building a very complex virtual agents and planning to integrate that with your contact center, with your customer service, with your different platforms like Facebook, your website, all of that, you can basically use Dialogflow CX. Dialogflow ES and CX pricings are different. So make sure that you go and check the pricing for each of those. Of course, the CX pricing is a little higher than Dialogflow ES Essentials, but both of them actually provide you with free credits for you to actually try out and see uh, how much you can actually build on top of these and what the cost would look like. One of the other core feature differences between Dialogflow Essentials and Dialogflow CX is in Dialogflow Essentials, you get to have only one webhook. And for anyone who's actually doing this for the very first time, if you do not know what the webhook in Dialogflow means, so I'm going back to the essentials. Within Dialogflow Essentials, you have something called as fulfillment. So fulfillment is a place where you're actually defining anything that I need to process from this conversation and pass it on to my backend, to my database, process the information and send back a response. All of that can be done from your server side by enabling the webhook. So in Dialogflow Essentials, you get to have only one webhook. With Dialogflow CX, you can have multiple webhooks for each of the flows. Okay, so that's a very important difference. In that case, you don't have to manage all the different scenarios in one webhook. You can write the logic across multiple webhooks, right? So that's one of the main differences between Dialogflow Essentials and CX. While we talk about these differences, let me also open up Dialogflow CX. So as I said, easiest way is to go to dialogflow.com, click on Dialogflow CX, and you can go to the console. So over here, you can click on create a new project, or you can choose the existing project. So let me choose one of the existing projects already. And you can see that immediately it's showing me my agents. So here we've created a agent called as retail virtual agent. The default language is English, and then under the region, this is hosted in US Central 1. So all of this is actually linked with Google Cloud. Everything is hosted on Google Cloud. So keep that in mind. Now, for any reason, let's say that you want to export this virtual agent, you can export this. You also have the option to like import or restore. So let's say take this agent from here, you have another project and you want to uh, take it or import it into that, you have that option as well. Okay, so let me just click on this. So I'm sure you're gonna be excited about this, because compare this one where we've only had to design with intents and entities, and look at this one. So this is the visual flow builder that we are talking about. Everything that you're seeing over here is can be visualized. Every conversational turn can be really understood, and you can work on it. One of the since we are speaking of differences, you can also see this has some advanced capabilities like versioning, environments, experiments, CI/CD pipelines, integrations, and so on. Okay, and webhooks, as I said, not just one webhook. You can actually create multiple webhooks and link it within each of the flows. Intents and entities over here works in a completely different way. What I mean by that is here you can actually reuse the intents. So you have the welcome intent, default negative intent, like how we talked about. And over here you can see there's a lot of intents that we've created. And all of that is very similar to what we typically do, right? So you have like the training phrases basically to say that, okay, This is what each of the intent basically means. So give me music of the Goo Fighters, music of Goo Fighters, please. So whenever this training phrase is there, it will automatically understand that, okay, this is the intent. Redirect dot music is the intent. And here we are extracting the entity of artist. So these are all the artists that are automatically being extracted. So same concepts like how we had with Dialogflow essentials. So here you can basically use intents, create intents and entities and reuse them across multiple flows. And that's one of the main advantages that we have with Dialogflow CX. So go back to build. So as I said, this is the visual flow builder. Now let's actually go ahead. In fact, as part of our slides, once we are done with and before I forget, the other major difference is different departments or different teams working together on different flows. So let's say you have one flow where one department is involved, so they can start building based on that. You have another team who's involved with another flow, so they can start building on that. So you can have multiple developers or multiple teams working on different sections, and then you can bring all of that together. Okay, so that's basically the all the core concepts that you need to understand with Dialogflow Essentials and Dialogflow CX. I'm sure there's a lot more to this, which unfortunately we cannot cover everything into one video. So that's why I have these individual step-by-step tutorials on Tech with Such. So do check them out. If you have any questions or queries, leave a comment or um reach out to me through Twitter. We can definitely go through with that. Now, with all of this, let's actually go ahead and see what explore a bit more about Dialogflow CX, right? So let's backtrack and look at some of the core fundamental things that we said. With Dialogflow CX, some of the new things or concepts is flows, right? So on the left side, you see under build, you have something called as flows. Now, when you create a Dialogflow CX agent, by default, you have the default start flow. So if I click on this, you'll see this is the default start flow. Now, from this start flow, you also have other flows, which is represented over here. So you have catalog, you have customer care, you have my order, and finally you have end session. Okay. Now, do you get the idea about flows? So each of these are separate flows and it's all connected to the default start flow. So let's click on the default start flow. So the moment you click on this, it will then go into the pages. You see over here on the left side, the bottom side, you have pages. So right now we are in the start page. Okay. And within this, you have a way to link it to all the different routes, right? So let me zoom out and you'll get to see this. So you have routes, you have event handlers, and then from here, it is automatically going to the different other flows. So let's look at one of the routes. You can see that we are saying if when you're having the conversation, this start flow has the default welcome intent. So default welcome intent, what are we actually saying over here is the default welcome intent, as I showed you earlier, has everything to do with hello, hi. It is trained on greetings. Now, if any user says hi, hello, any of those kind of keywords or phrases, it will automatically detect that, okay, the intent detected is default welcome intent. And then immediately over here, it will say, okay, is there any conditions? So the condition is match at least one rule. Okay, come down. what should be the fulfillment or what should be the response that of this specific intent match. We are saying over here, we are saying, okay, welcome. I'm a virtual agent of G Records, a fictional rock label. You can order artists, merchandise, and ask questions about your order or shipping. And I can tell you more which artists are currently signed with us and how I can help. Right. So this is what the welcome greeting is going to be. And below that, you'll also see we do have the option to add a custom payload. And what is this payload? These are rich responses that we will provide to the user. And I'll show you how this would look on different platforms, right? So on a very high level, you can actually pass custom payload, and depending on different platforms, it will automatically render. And in this case, it's going to give options like which artists, which products as like suggestion chips. Okay. And we'll get to see that. And finally, once this intent and response is matched, okay, you see like if you want to transition to a different page, you can do that. Or if you want to transition to a different flow, you can do that. Okay. So within this default start flow, you can see that within this page, all of these different routes are linked to it. Right? You see all of this. And within here, you also get to see, let me zoom out. You also get to see if you say, if the intent or the conversation from the user was to do with artist overview, it will then go past it will transition to the catalog flow. So let's say that while you do that, it goes to the catalog flow. You click on catalog. It will have its own pages. You see over here. So let me zoom in. So it will have its own pages. So you have the start page over here. So again, you see on the left side. So we are on the start page. It will have its own set of intents that it needs to match for the catalog. And then based on that, let's say if it is to do with a product artist, it will, if that intent is matched, we are saying, okay, transition to product overview. Okay. And you'll see product overview is another page. So you click on that, immediately you'll get to say, okay, on entry of product overview, you have a response saying we sell shirts, music, or the tour movie. And here, if you want to extract key information, as I mentioned, you can define and extract those parameters over here. You can define it over there. And just like that, on a very high level, as you can see, every conversational turn is linked using flows and pages. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, each of these also have the ability to have fulfillment. You can enable the webhook for each of these and have different webhooks for all of these. Okay. So let's go back to the default start flow. Click on customer care. So you can say within customer care, we are talking about refund, swapping, shipping, default start flow, end session. You click on refund, then you have its own set of pages, and within the page, you're saying, okay, we offer free returns, what that response would look like, right? Swapping, shipping. So goes back to the default start flow. So this is how you actually build in Dialogflow CX. Everything is created with flows and pages. Okay. And with this beautiful visual flow builder, you have a sense of where each conversation is going. Unlike Dialogflow Essentials, you are at the mercy of Dialogflow's intent matching, right? So you might have, your user might have a very complex conversation query, but there might be two different sets of intents that you want to go. But you're at the mercy of your agent, or how well you have trained your agent. Or even if you want to handle that, it can be done, but you'll have to go ahead and create all of those different condition checks in your backend webhook. Now, with CX, anyone who's building this, you can come here and understand exactly where each conversation is going, right? So let's do this exercise. You have on the top right section, you have a simulator. So you can just click on this. You can actually check your agent directly from here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to walk you through some scenarios. Okay. So here I'm going to say hi, and immediately you get the response. Welcome. I'm virtual agent of G Records. So the everything, the response coming from the default start flow. Okay. And what has happened behind the scenes is this one has understood that the intent that it matched is the default welcome intent, right? So you see over here, based on my conversation hi, it has understood that this is a default welcome intent. So you must be wondering where this is, right? So if you go back to the default start flow, and I'm trying to show you side by side all of this, how it's working behind the scenes. So you click on start. So you say within this flow we've defined if this flow consists of default welcome intent, and default welcome intent is defined over here. And one of the things that we are saying in default welcome intent is this is a response. So you might be asking, Sachin, when you said hi, how did this know that this was the default welcome intent? And that's how you actually go and use these, create these intents. So in this default welcome intent, by default, Dialogflow trains it on some training phrases. So over here, it's hi, hello, howdy, anything to do with greetings. The moment you say that, Dialogflow will understand, okay, this is, I need to match this against this intent, default welcome intent. And now that is matched, since we are in the start of the conversation, we have defined that if default welcome intent is there, it will automatically show that response. So that is the response that we are seeing right now. Okay. So you can see that the custom payload that we've added is showing up like this. So I'm just going to say, let's say artist, which artist? So the following bands are signed with G Records: Alice Googler, Guns N' Roses, Goo Fighters, and the Google Dolls. From which of these artists would you like to order the merchandise? So let's say I say Alice. So Alice Googler, it says great choice, rock on. We sell shirts, musics, or to movie. Which merchandise item do you want? So I love t-shirts. So let's say shirts. So do you want a long sleeve or a t-shirt? I say long sleeve. What size do you want? So I can say XL. Immediately you can see a long sleeve of Alice Googler. Size XL costs $30. Shall I continue to order? I would say yes. So to complete your order, I will first need to collect your shipping details. What's your first name? Say Sachin. What's your last name, address? Let's say I'm just putting test address. So you can see that it is actually expecting an address. So you can see, let's say, what postal code, name of the city. Let's say country, email address. So I'm just going to give some. So now you can see that it has automatically gathered all the information. All right, Sachin, we'll make use of Google Pay. That's connected to your email account. Shipping costs an additional $5. This will make the total price of $35. Your merchandise will be shipped to you, Sachin Kumar. Then all of the fake address that we provided. To continue the order process, please explicitly say I confirm. So I say I confirm. And thank you for your order. And just like that, we've just completed an entire transaction, right? So this is actually a demo project. So you can actually try this out. If you are wondering how to build something like this, as complicated as this, with all the different flows that we are talking about, as I said, uh, it is all available in my YouTube channel called Tech with Search. Me and a Googler called Lee Boonstra. She's amazing. We sat and we built an entire course for you all to actually start from the basics and start understanding each and every concepts behind on how to build complex conversational agents or virtual agents. Now, you saw all of that using the test agents. So just like Dialogflow essentials, you have bunch of things that you can do with this. So one of the things is integrations. So with integrations, what you can do is you can connect with Dialogflow Messenger, and everything that we did through the test environment is now possible through this messenger as well. So I say hi. Do you remember that we talked about those custom payloads? Now, with that custom payload on the Dialogflow Messenger will automatically be rendered as suggestion chips. So this is an easier way for your users to actually understand and quickly click on all of these suggestions. So instead of me sitting and typing, see how that experience is going to be, I would say which products. So let's go through a different thing. So we sell shirts, music. From which of these artists would you like? So I will say, okay, Alice Googler. Which merchandise, shirts? Do you want a long sleeve or a t-shirt? I will say, let's say, I would like to know the price. A t-shirt costs $25 and a long sleeve costs $30. Do you want a long sleeve or a t-shirt? So I can just say long sleeve. What shirt size do you want? So again, this is all using that custom payload. So very easily, I'm just gonna go and choose an option, confirm a long sleeve. Shall I continue the order? Yes. What's your first name? So all that experience that we talked about, everything is now available directly over here. So I say I confirm. And just like that, we've just completed an entire transaction, right? So you must be wondering, this is great. What are the other things I can do? Just like this integrations. Imagine now you're having an entire set of conversations, or you want to know where's my order, or where is it at. You can actually have a conversation with it using your phone, right? So Dialogflow also integrates with other telephony providers you see over here. So if you're already using one of these telephony providers, you can connect with that and have Dialogflow CX agent actually serve your customers. And by doing this, you can accelerate and save time for your actual live agents to work on queries that's actually hard for the agent to do, right? So in that way, you are more efficient. Your startup or your company or your business accelerates, and you get things done in a much more efficient and helpful manner. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this session and got a glimpse of what Dialogflow CX can do. And if you're interested in building bots, virtual voice bots, and virtual agents and avatars, and much more, do check out the complete playlist. I call it the Ultimate Chatbot Tutorial Series, where we start right from the basics, step by step, even if you have no coding experience. And then you start integrating with Facebook, WhatsApp, Slack, Telegram, Line. You learn how to build rich responses, like how you saw buttons. What if you want to have images? What if you want to actually use Dialogflow and put it in a virtual 3D character? You have a session on that. And finally, with Flutter, you can also use with human handoff, learn how to switch between the agent and the actual live agent, use sentiment analysis, machine learning. So there's a lot more that you can learn. Do check out the tutorials, and feel free to reach out to me in Twitter or through YouTube, and also check out some of the blogs and articles that cover some of these topics as well. So with that being said, my name is Sachin, and see you all in the next one.